All right, hey everyone. My name's Emily, and this is my playthrough of Minecraft. So, as you can see, what I ended up in my build was a homey little house. What you should know about me is that I'm a freshman at the University of Washington, and I'm currently studying design in the design school, hopefully industrial design in a year or two when we get to make that choice. So, the number one thing that you'll notice about my house is that it's pretty sparse, but I should point out to you that I have two bookshelves. Count them, two bookshelves, and since I'm playing on survival mode, those bookshelves were the entirety of my playthrough. Just to give you a little idea of how laborious it was to make these bookshelves, what you first have to do is find seeds for wheat. And then you have to take the seeds for wheat and put them in a farm. And then you have to wait for the wheat to grow. And then you have to harvest the wheat. And then you have to take an animal farm and you have to breed cows. And then you have to kill the cows to get leather to make books. And sometimes cows don't drop leather. So you have to kill a lot of cows. And then you get to make books with sugarcane that you've grown in a farm for sugarcane. And then you can take 3 books per bookshelf and make a bookshelf. So that's my story. Scott?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I really noticed there, especially as somebody who played in creative mode, was that that is a huge process. And I was just wondering why you picked survival mode despite all the complications there.
So I traditionally play in survival mode. When I got this game a really long time ago, actually opening it up for this project is the first time I've played it in a while. And when I first got the game, there was no creative mode. So I'm kind of used to just playing on survival and having to work for that. But also I find the challenge of survival mode to be really interesting. I do play on peaceful though, because I can't be bothered with creepers and zombies. So that's why I chose survival mode.
So I was curious why you chose this location in particular to build your house.
Actually, so it's pretty funny. I only just realized, just because, again, this is like the first time I played this in a while, that where you put your bed down is actually where you start spawning. So what I traditionally do is I will start a new game, and if I don't like where I've spawned, I will keep deleting the game and starting again until I can find a spawn that I like. So I ended up here in this birch forest, which I'm okay with because I like birch wood the best. And I decided to just level off this hill and start building my house there. And so, yeah, I don't really like swamps or deserts or anything like that, just because they feel kind of dry and arid, and I don't like those places in real life, so I chose this forest.
Besides the birchwood, was there any other reason why you chose the materials you did?
Yeah, actually, so you'll see here that I'm laying down cobblestone. I end up in a couple of seconds in this video taking all of the, yeah, here we go. Cobblestone is ugly. I end up taking all of the cobblestone out of my house and replacing it with stone because cobblestone is really ugly. And actually from a previous playthrough, I learned that glass panes as opposed to glass bricks are really ugly. So I decided to go all with glass bricks instead of glass panes.
So yeah, it's just another thing where like the fact that you haven't played through this game in a while kind of shows in the fact that you spent all this time building out of cobblestone only to basically have forgotten that it was actually a really ugly material to begin with. And the other thing is just about the bookshelves and about the way you're building your house in general, and even the fact that you did a house. I mean, you're a designer. You're studying to be a design major. So there's a lot of that in there. You know, you are trained to look at the details and things and just make them as aesthetically pleasing as possible. Like, you just deleted the door and you're going to move it, I think, to the other end of the doorway, which is just a thing I would never even think about, but you chose to do it because it just blends with the aesthetic better.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, in the next couple of seconds, you'll start to see I'm like decorating my house with flowers and things like that. And I don't know, it's definitely has no impact on how you play Minecraft. Like whether or not you have a flower in your house doesn't do anything for you to win the game easier or to get any sort of item easier. I just think it's physically more beautiful to look at. So that's sort of where I'm coming from.
Okay, cool. And one of the other interesting questions we've been asking a lot in these personal Let's Plays is, what other video games have you played in the past, and how do you think that might relate to what you're playing now and how you're changing the world?
Yeah, so actually I usually play a lot of first-person shooter games, but the games I like the best are sort of action RPG. Like Deus Ex actually is my favorite game, and the reason I like it so much is because of all of the little tiny details in the world. I love being able to like go around a corner and talk to a person or find a piece of trash on the ground and be able to inspect it and all kinds of things like that. And so that's sort of the reason why I take a very detail-minded approach, taking little flowers and pieces of grass and pieces of vines and sticking them all over the place. Yeah, so that's definitely the influence there.
Right, so I know you spent a lot of time making those bookshelves or working towards making them. and I know they require a lot of leather, so I was wondering if you went out hunting or maybe you had a farm for them.
Yeah, actually, so I'm about to make a patio and a back door, but at the end of the video, you'll start to see. Oh, yeah, there's my cellar. You'll start to see I have a farm full of animals, and that was like a super laborious process because I said at the beginning, you need a lot of wheat and all these things that take a lot of time. And so here I am breeding animals together because I have a kind of pacifist feeling ish, and I don't want to like kill all the cows because they don't regenerate. So I started breeding all these cows and killing them and stuff, and it was an arduous experience to make those bookshelves, but darn, I needed them because they look good. So that's the story behind the farm.
All right. Yep. Again, that's just one of those things where, at that point, I even tried playing in survival mode actually when I did mine, and I basically got through day one, tried to build a house, and was like, no way, this is gonna take forever. But I guess props to you for sticking through it and building this nice house.